Howdy gang, just over 1 week ago, we goofed as a nation, and now we're going to have to spend the next 4 years mitigating that goof as much as possible. The time for mourning is over, and I have 4 ideas for how we might be able to move forward. Now, if you disagree with anything that I have to say, let me just preface it by saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just making this video because if you're subscribed to my channel, you might be interested in what I have to say. But if you disagree, you're right, I'm wrong, you've won the argument. We don't need to talk about it in the comments section, and in fact, I think that the comments section should return to what it was originally designed for, having civil discussions about whether or not I look like Seth Rogen. With that in mind, let's get started. Number 1, you don't get to move to Canada. First of all, we need you here. If a bunch of city folk leave for Canada, or if there's a Cal exit, then we're totally boned. And I mean literally, we will all become Ken Bone, unable to make even the most basic of decisions without taking a break to be a weirdo on Reddit. Second, Canada doesn't want our trumped-up trickle-down leftovers. We've been making fun of Canada as a nation for the past quarter millennium and have never looked at Canada the way that we're looking at it now. Oh, Canada, you guys are pretty polite, eh? What's your country all about? How's the Queen doing? Y'all still run by her? Oh, Canada. Canada! You can't just turn around and come crawling back to Canada now that shit has gone down. Just like you can't follow your friend from high school on Twitter after they've become successful and expect to follow back. You have to recognize talent before the world does. And in this case, Canada has just won America's Best Dance Crew, and we as a nation are still wondering whether or not we're going to eat the leftover Smarties from the bottom of the leftover Halloween bucket. Smarties. They're like chalk, but with fewer applicable uses. Number 2, white people. Engage with your crazy fucking families. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that your aunt and uncle are crazy if they supported Donald Trump. I'm saying all aunts and uncles are crazy, and some of them happen to support Donald Trump. For example, that is my Uncle Gene. He didn't support Donald Trump, but you can bet your ass he's crazy. My point is that regardless of your political beliefs, you're probably going to want to avoid talking about it at Thanksgiving. If you're like me, your coping mechanism is to eat sweet potato casserole in the bathroom all night. But you can't do that this year. It's too important to have these conversations. And so, if you truly believe, as I do, that Donald Trump is a threat to everyone in this country, then the best opportunity you're going to have to change some minds of the 60 million people that voted for Donald Trump this year is to speak to the people that know you best and trust you the most, and try to get them to understand why you feel that way. And you can extend to them the same courtesy. The point is that any conversation is better than the typical Thanksgiving conversation you have with Aunt Wendy. Yes, I'm still in school. No, I don't know where or how I'm going to get a job. Hey, you're 97 years old and still drive a car. Are we going to do something about that? Number 3, vote. Vote. Yes, we have to vote in 2020, and yes, we have to vote in the midterm elections in 2018, but there's also elections for a couple of state legislatures, governor's races, and municipal elections across the country next year in 2017, so we have to vote in those as well. But furthermore, there's still one more election that's yet to be decided in the Senate, and that's in Louisiana. You see, on November 8th, while everyone else was having a general election, Louisiana held a jungle primary. No, that's not an election in which you get to choose between Brandy and Mr. Whiskers. That would be far superior to the system that we have now. But instead, they have all the candidates, Democrat, Republican, and otherwise, run at the same time, and then the top 2 candidates go on to a runoff in December, which of course has not happened yet. So, if you want to influence the makeup of the Senate before the next legislative session begins, you have the opportunity to do so, regardless of which party you are in. So if you're in Louisiana, you can vote and canvass for your candidate, or if you're anywhere else in the country, you can phone bank or donate. For Democrats, the candidate is Foster Campbell, and it is very possible that he could win and make this a 51-49 Republican Senate instead of a 52-48 Republican Senate. Now, it won't be easy. Louisiana is a red state, and dude doesn't even have a picture on his Wikipedia page for the election. However, just as recently as last year, Louisiana did elect a Democratic governor, so there is hope. And regardless, you have to make your voice heard, whichever party you're in, and I encourage you to do so if you live in Louisiana. Whiskers 2020. Number 4, make your voice heard. You might not have an immediate chance right now to make your voice heard through your vote, but you can still use the threat of your vote to make a difference. After all, your congresspeople are technically supposed to represent you, so you can call them and make your voice heard on whatever issue you think is important. And it's important to remember that the president-elect just a few years ago was a pro-choice, pro-single-payer New York Democrat before he became a nationalist leader. I think ultimately he just wants people to like him, and he says whatever he's going to say in order to accomplish that. So, Perhaps if he sees that more Americans will like him if he goes back on all of his terrible campaign promises, then maybe he will. He clearly does not want to do this president shit at all, as evidenced by staying at Trump Tower on the weekends and having that facial expression every time he remembers, oh wait, I'm the president, this is real. This man is easily swayed. This is the sort of person that you can convince to do this.
Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Land spreading out so far and wide. Keep Manhattan, just give me that countryside.
If he believes that more people will like him as a result. But of course, we can't rely on that. We have to stay vigilant and fight injustice whenever it rears its ugly head. And I hope that in some small way, my videos will contribute to that effort. Because it's been a week since Donald Trump was elected president. And thus far, the First Amendment appears to remain intact. I intend to use it to make a difference. And also jokes about classic Disney Channel original series.
Mr. Whiskers.
By the way, there are a lot of people commenting on my video why Donald Trump will never be president right now, and yes, I admit I was wrong about that. But I also made another video in January called Why Hillary Clinton Will Never Be President, and I'm receiving no praise whatsoever for that incredibly bold prediction. I'm practically Nostradamus compared to the mainstream media. Spread the love, y'all. God, this fucking sucks.